You know, we also remember Helen died as an infant. Evan died not as an infant. Evan died in a drowning while they were bathing, while they were swimming for recreation. And there's a poem that Thella remembers that Evan told as a youngster. Can you remember that poem?
You come on,
Okay. It's 4 lines long, and he said it repeatedly when he memorized it over and over and over again. I like to go to Sunday school and learn all the good I can so I can preach the gospel when I get to be.
And David and I were with him in the Green River.
So as I recall, the stories you told us, Gail, you're out there swimming, and he got tucked in an undertow and was drowned, and they searched and found him. And you remember that whole time, and Alta didn't know. She wasn't told, there wasn't a telephone to call and tell her troubles. But you, David, do you remember in the back seat of the truck driving back home?
Let them tell us.
Well, I'm trying to shorten it, yeah. Okay, tell me.
It wasn't the back seat. We never had a touring car in our lives.
The back of the truck?
We just had a pickup because it was for farm work and for the mail route. And so there was room in the front for Papa and Mom and maybe one other. And the rest of us boys would sit in the back. In all kinds of weather, didn't matter the temperature. But the memory, which is kind of hard for me, but as a 5-year-old, I still remember Papa driving home after they found the body, and the road was rough. And of course, Evan's body was in the back of the pickup with us. And I felt so bad when I would see his head kind of bump every time we hit a bump, and realized that he was passed on to another world. Anyway, that was a...
And then your mama didn't know until you got home.
Mama didn't know until we got home. David could tell that.
Yeah.
Dave?
It was supposed to be, what, a 2-week job? We had a contract.
Well, we had a contract to pump water. This is during the Deep Depression of the 1930s. Pump water out of the Green River onto the banks of the water, where it was carried in a ditch down the field for the farmers to water the crops with. And Papa had a great tractor with iron lugs on it. Could make it down there, and he could park that tractor the side of the Green River and put his belt around it and went over here to the pump, and the pump had the thing that went down into the Green River to get the water and pump it out on the bank into a ditch. And that's how we got that good contract to do that. Now when you go down there and work on a contract like that, and an accident happened, as happened to Gail and me and to Hyrum, and then Papa told us, you go back and get rest, and go way back on the bank, and kneel down and ask Heavenly Father to help us. We did as he said, and Papa was swimming all over and yelling out, "Help! Help!" And there weren't very many people there. But he continued searching and crying for help until about 50 people eventually came there. I asked him one time how many, and some of these questions I asked him afterward. And I asked him even, who found him? Who found the body? He says it was the people in the boat that found him. That, there was a little rowboat around that was going around, and they were searching with the rowboat also. And this was a very sober moment when you had gone down to work on a job that you would live you know, to help support your family, and then find to have to go home. And then they explained it. Now, I've heard criticism from the people afterwards. Do you just go home and announce it? Can't you say they were still looking for him or something and try to soften the impact when you have to explain to your wife how come you came back home?
Follow up,
You
Philip.
came home early
Up on
from
the
the job.
porch after dark, and Mother was surprised to see him returning the same day that he had gone to work. It was 2 or 3 hours down to the river. And he come up on the porch, I heard Mother tell it later, put his arm around him and said, "Evan drowned." And Mother accepted it eventually. And they made him out, made arrangements for the funeral and all of those things, started making the burial clothes. Everything that you do that needs to be done, you do yourself, because they were very efficient, self-sufficient family.
And Papa made caskets for many people. And the funerals were different in those days than now, or at least the burials were. You dig your own grave. And I remember when Brent and Stephen and Gordon and Craig were children, and we went out for Grandpa's funeral. And we stayed with Uncle Ellis, and we got up early, very early in the morning while it was still dark, to go with Uncle Ellis to finish digging the grave for Grandpa. It was frozen, it was in the winter. We had heavy crowbars. And then, as soon as the graveside service is over, then you grab a shovel and you fill it up. Now, I always liked that because it was kind of therapeutic. You could do something instead of just walking away, not like they do now, and let some tractor come in and do it. But I'm old-fashioned, and that was the practice we had with all of the burials.